Wednesday, June the 24th. Lake level's about 921 1/4. It crested out a couple days ago, got up to 923. And last couple days been coming down about 6 to 8 inches a day. So there's a bunch of current in the lake. Lake is really in great shape. The mid-lake area hasn't got any stain or anything yet. You get up in the river arms and there is some debris floating, and the further up rivers you get, whether it be the James or the Kings or up in Long Creek, the dirtier the water will get. But for the most part, everything's filtering out pretty good. Everything's fishable. And, the water temperature, I just got off the water right now. It's about 85.5 degrees. So the water temperature's jumped up about 5 degrees. But even with that water temperature like it is, the fish it's kind of crazy. It's you either find them or you don't. But the current's got them kind of grouped up, and when you find them and get them biting, you catch a ton of fish in one spot. We had a group trip this afternoon. There was 7 or 8 of us on it, and it was just a 2-hour deal. But a lot of us had 20 fish in 2 hours. 5 to 10 keepers a boat. And most of those fish were deeper fish, drop shot fish. We were fishing in the mid-lake area. And they're kind of grouping up on the back side of points and something that's, breaking the current. You gotta search around a lot. And there's been some areas where I found the fish, but I gotta go back 2 or 3 times. And I don't know exactly what it is, but when you get there at the right time, and get them fired up, they just bite like crazy. Now you might, I had one spot yesterday, I went there 3 times. I could see the fish, they'd come up and look at the baits, couldn't get them to bite. 3rd time we came back there, they just bit like crazy, one right after the other. So I don't know exactly what's triggering them to bite, because the current's, real steady. But, there's still a spoon bite going on, a flutter spoon and a underspin, or a lot of topwater fish too. Even when we went back out this afternoon, in the middle of the day, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, there was fish surfacing over 80 foot of water. But, we've been talking a lot about this is the swimming hornet. It's like a fish head. I'm throwing either a 3/8 ounce or a 1/2 ounce, and usually tipping it with a fluke, a swimming fluke junior, a zoom. But another bait that works good, I know Jewel has come out with a new bait. I don't know what they call it, but it's kind of a knockoff of the same thing, but the guys are catching a lot of fish on that. And I'm still catching several fish on a flutter spoon, either a Dixie Jet 1/2 ounce or 3/4 ounce. I've still got a lot of the old Strike Kings, so I'm using a few of the Dixie Jets. I'll be using a lot more of them whenever I run out of my Strike Kings. I've only got about 10 left. You can't get them anymore. But the Dixie Jets, I know you can get at the Sportsman Factory Outlet. They got the 1/2 ounce and the 3/4. You get them in several different colors. I'd probably just get them in chrome or white. Now that bite seems to be slowing down on me. Those fish were out on main lake secondary points, and you'd have to fish anywhere from 10 to as deep as 25 foot. I'm still catching a few fish on that, but not as many. I'm actually catching more on a drop shot in the mid-lake area, but most of those fish are suspended out over docks, on the back sides of points. You got to kind of visualize how the current is coming, and if you've got a point that's got a deep drop on the down current side, and if you can find them fish grouped up in an area like that. Now, also up in the river arms, crankbait bites turning on up there. And the colors I would throw depending on how dirty the water is. The dirtier the water, I'd use something like a chartreuse and blue. And several different baits will work. You can throw, I'm throwing a Strike King 6XD, but fat-free shad will also work. A DD22 will work. You want something that'll dive down from 14 to 18 foot deep. And if you're fishing in a little bit clearer water, I'd use more like a chartreuse sexy shad or just a straight sexy shad. Now these fish up there in the rivers aren't as deep as the fish that we're catching down lake, but even up there you can catch drop shot fish 18, 20 foot of water up in the river arms, kind of on the same thing on the back sides of some of them points, around some of them islands. in the same areas you want to be throwing the crankbaits on, but just not as, a little bit shallower on the crankbait. And I got to messing around this afternoon before I went out on my afternoon trip down in Kimberling City area, where when you get in the bushes you can see the bottom, but I started flipping Strike King structure bug, green pumpkin, around some of the willow bushes. In an hour's time I had 3 fish, 2 keepers, and it's kind of amazing because you can see the bottom in 8 to 10 foot, but just keep flipping to the shaded areas and up underneath the umbrellas of them willows, or any place there's shade when that sun is straight up like that. So that should work even better up in the river. I think you could probably get up in the bushes in the morning and throw a little pop-ar or a topwater bait, even a buzz bait up around the bushes in the morning, especially up in the river arms. If I was throwing a buzz bait, I'd throw a black one. But I think a lot of the fish are still going to stay relatively shallow till that current slows down. The thermocline, I'm actually seeing one, but it's only about 18 to 20 feet. Normally we've got one 25 to 30. But until that current slows down, them fish are probably going to stay relatively shallow. A lot of different things you can do to catch fish. But like I said earlier, sometimes I may go a couple hours without a bite, but usually when you get a bite, you've got a lot of fish that really seem to be grouped up. I think that current's got them kind of pushed up and, down underneath like the backside of a point where they're staying out of the current, but yet feeding on the stuff that's coming across the points. So, and till next week, good luck, good fishing.